Are you ready to elevate your fantasy team? Here is Joey the Tooth with your IDP update. If it's not IDP, it's not fantasy football.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the IDP update. I'm your host, as always, Joey the Tooth. You can find me on Twitter at Joey the Tooth IDP. We had a pretty crazy week of IDP scoring. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of high-scoring games. There was players just going crazy, both sides of the ball. Joe Mixon, thank you for showing up. Whew, that really cleared a lot of light for me. I invested a lot in a Mixon this offseason, so. But to the IDP side, first off, I just want to say, so in one of my longest standing league I've been in, I think this is my 8th or 9th year. It's the Fantasy Mayhem D League. That's what it's called. The Mayhem D League. It's a full IDP rosters, full offense, super flex. I've been in it for 8 years now, and I won it 3 times. 3-time champ. The only 3-time champ, I believe. Anyway, Johnny the Greek, Orange Man, is in a league this year, and I had the luxury of playing him. He's number 1 in the league right now. I'm not even ranked in the top 8, so I need to get my shit together. But I have a good enough roster. Just there's been moments where just guys didn't show up. I dealt with a couple of injuries, so I went to the waiver wire this week. And first, one of the guys I hit on last week's episode, Kaiser White, was available. So I picked up Kaiser White, and I decided to sit Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker only got me 3.2 points. I think he had 1 solo and 1 assisted tackle. Kaiser White, 8 solos, 2 assisted tackles, and the pass defended. In Mayhem scoring, that's 23.6 points. Then I've been starting a lot of corners in that league, because you start a safety, 2 corners, and then a defensive back. So I got Jeremy Chinn's my safety. Right now it's Jalen Johnson and Brian Poole are my corners. And I was thinking about starting Julian Love as my DB. I decided to check the waivers first, and I saw Taylor Rapp was there. And we all know the conundrum with Taylor Rapp this year. He lost his starting job to Jordan Fuller, the rookie. But Fuller's out with a shoulder injury. And I saw that. I was like, you know what? Let's see if we can get the Taylor Rapp old. I inserted him in my lineup. 7 solo tackles and assists for 16.4 points. So as of right now, I'm projected to beat Johnny and projected to be the highest scorer of the league. So let's get it. All right, so for this week's episode, I'm going to be covering week 4. We'll give it a quick recap. And when I come back from this quick commercial break, we'll dive right into the injury report.
The injury report.
All right. Our biggest injury we saw so far this week was Darius Leonard, the almost consistent IDP one. He's just an animal. He's a tackle machine. He gets sacks. He gets interceptions, passes defended, goes down with a groin injury after making 1 tackle, misses the rest of the game. His status is uncertain for this week, and we're not even sure going forward. So it's definitely one you want to monitor, because this is one that can really have a big effect in your league. So if you're a Darius Leonard owner, you want to make sure you have somebody the likes of Anthony Walker or Bobby Okereke on your squad. Start searching, man, because that's a big, big loss. The Browns lost Larry Ogunjobi to a abdominal injury midway through the game. This could mean good things for Sheldon Richardson, or bad. Could be more attention to him in the middle. But I think it's Jake Elliott, possibly. Not Jake Elliott. There's a rookie that's probably going to fill in and take Ogunjobi's job if he can't start next week. Rookie quarterback CJ Henderson. He's been a delight for the Jaguars so far this year. He went down with a shoulder injury, and he missed the rest of the game. So he's another one you want to monitor, especially if you're starting cornerbacks. I had him in the IDP Invitational for a week, but I've been streaming corners more or less there. But yeah, so CJ Henderson down with a shoulder injury. Another big one is a guy who seemed to finally be getting it together. Like he's having the breakout we all expected 2-3 years ago. Miles Jack, he's been off the chain. He's been I had Joe Schobert going in there and just doing what Jack's doing. That's what I thought. I have Joe Schobert everywhere. And Jack's been stealing the show. But he went down with an ankle injury. So his status is up in the air as well. So it's another one you want to monitor. There's people you can replace. Dakota Allen came in and played quite well. I'll talk about him a little later tonight. But yeah, if Jack misses time, it's probably going to be second-year man Dakota Allen. So keep an eye there. Levi Wallace, who was just coming off an 11 tackle effort the week before, ended up with 0 because he left with an ankle injury. So that's one of the top IDP corners in the league. He went down. TJ Edwards. He's been kind of hot and cold this year, playing a middle linebacker for the Eagles. He was looking good this game against the 49ers, though. I was watching the game, and he was making plays. But he went down, and he has a hamstring injury, and we all know how the soft tissue injuries are. So I think it was Alex Singleton came in and played some snaps. I honestly figured it would be Sean Bradley or Tavian Taylor, but they went the other direction. I'm not sure. I would love to say I'm sure, but I have no idea who they're going to play at linebacker next week. Sorry. I wish I could tell you, but I can't. K1 Williams, the slot corner for the 49ers, he is very underappreciated, and being a 49ers fan, I watch him a lot, and he makes plays from the slot position. He is fantastic. He's a great tackler. He is really good in run defense. He can come up with some sacks, but he's very consistent, and he's probably the best corner the 49ers have, but he plays the slot. He went down with a leg injury, so that 49ers secondary is just getting beat up. Akella Witherspoon's been out. Richard Sherman's out. Emmanuel Mosley missed time with a concussion. Now K1 Williams. It's like their 4 best corners are out. They are back to starting Dante Johnson, who they released years ago. So it's to see the defense still play as well as it did is amazing. So hats off to the Niners with all the injuries they have this year. To still be 2-2 and almost 3-1, Jesus. Another one, not such a huge injury, but LaMarcus Joyner, he's a solid player, solid safety for the Raiders. He went down with a rib injury, so it's possible he misses some time too. That's really it for IDP injuries. Nothing too crazy. Darius Leonard, Miles Jack, those are 2 huge ones. So other than that, you didn't really see too many crazy injuries. So fingers crossed we get another week like that outside of those 2. All right. Let's go. Let's see who was hot this week and who wasn't. Let's check out our top and worst performers.
Who's hot? Who's not?
All right. Let's start with who was hot. First off, Thursday night game. Pierre Desir, cornerback for the Jets. Woo! He had himself a game against Brett Ripien. He said, not even rookie, but second-year guy, you're coming in here, you're a backup quarterback. Go ahead, throw my direction. 8 tackles, 7 solo, 2 passes defended, 2 interceptions, and 1 he brought to the house. Huge game. Huge game. So Pierre Desir, he's probably available in your waivers, and he's a good corner. He's the top corner in New York. So, I mean, if you were streaming, go ahead and stream. But if Desir's there, go ahead and grab him. Josie Jewell. Jewel's showing signs of life. We kind of all had him written off after losing his job to A.J. Johnson. But then Todd Davis gets injured. Todd Davis gets released. Justin Sternad, he's going to miss the entire season on IR. So what does Jewel do? Makes the most of his time. He came in Thursday night, had 10 tackles, 8 of them solo, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and a pass defended. Huge game. Johnny the Greek had him, and I thought to myself, if I lose to Johnny because of Josie Jewell, it's going to break my heart. Thank God for some big numbers this week, and thank God for Joe Mixon. I have him in that league. Another sight to see that was great to see, Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb shown everything we saw his rookie year on Thursday. He had 5 tackles, 3 of them solo, 2 tackles for a loss, and 2.5 sacks. Some of those sacks were kind of weak, but he's getting there. He's getting in the backfield. 2 tackles for a loss and 2.5 sacks. That's great. And if you have the ability to play him as an edge, even better. If he's playing as a linebacker, I mean, he's still usable. 2.5 sacks. I mean, he had 5 tackles. So that's good. That's good numbers. Rodney McLeod, safety for the Eagles. He had a big game. He had 8 tackles, 7 solo, pass defended, and an interception. That interception, I mean, it wasn't a great play. He was in position. Nick Mullins, throw that ball away, man. He got hit as soon as he was throwing, and it was just a wobbler right up in the air, and then Rodney McLeod. And thank God that thing didn't get taken about 95 yards for the touchdown. But, hey, hats off to McLeod. He had a good game. Couple of studs on here showing out that we love to see. Roquan Smith, he had 13 tackles, 11 of them solo, and he was getting in the backfield, 3 tackles for a loss. That's what he's good for. He's not the best in coverage. He can do it, but he's a guy that can get into the backfield. So, Roquan Smith, great to see you doing it. Bobby Wagner had a big tackle day too. He had 12 tackles, 10 of them solo. Double-digit solo tackles for these guys. That's really good to see. He also had a pass defended. So, two top 10 linebackers. I mean, the linebacker position's kind of been all over the place this year. I mean, we have a guy, Joe G. He's part of our Slack channel, and I've been talking to him recently, and he's talking about how he wants to quit IDP just because it seems like he keeps us posted on his roster moves and everything, and his IDP is absolutely stacked. He's got some of the best players at each position, and it's just been a very, very frustrating season. And past couple of seasons, guys either put up duds, or they're getting injured, or it's just like an off week, or he's playing guys who are just putting up points, and it's just getting frustrating to him. And trust me, Joe, you're not the only one. Like, this is nice to see some of these studs finally going off. I mean, Rodney McLeod, come on. He's not rostered much. Pierre Desir, Josie Jewell. Like, don't give up on IDP yet, man. Just scavenge the waiver wire. Just pay attention to shows like this, who start digging some of these people out and scavenge the waiver wire. Make some moves. I know you have draft picks. So let's see what you got. Rookie Patrick Queen, he had himself a game too. He had 12 tackles, 9 of them solo, 3 tackles for a loss. Great game. And like, it's so good to see some of these double-digit tackle numbers. I mean, it has been kind of slim this year, but it seems like there was a lot of plays this week, a lot of scoring. So, I mean, there were some great IDP scores this week. Speaking of double-digit tackles, from the corner position, Terrence Mitchell. I'm going to talk about him later too, but he had 12 tackles and 11 solo tackles. I mean, granted, it was against the Cowboys, who ended up throwing the ball, who knows how much. That defense is absolutely pitiful. And whoever has Dak Prescott is really reaping the benefits of this, and that entire passing offense is reaping the benefits of that defense being horrible. So, hats off to Terrence Mitchell, though. 12 tackles from the corner position. Very good. Possibly the most consistent linebacker this year, and he could be one of the top scorers. Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks had 12 tackles, 7 solo, and a pass defended. I mean, he's been absolutely excellent this year. And I mean, let's check out what he's got so far this year. He in 4 games, he's got 45 tackles. 45 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and 2 passes defended. That's averaging over 10 tackles a game. I mean, Eric Kendricks has the opportunity. If he can get a couple more of those playmaking stats, he has the opportunity to be a top 5 IDP scorer, and he's been top 15 probably for the duration of his career, really. Top 15, top 20. But he looks this year is like he's really getting it together. So I hats off to Eric Kendricks, man. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Kaiser White, a guy I told everybody to pick up off the waivers last week. 10 tackles, 8 solo, and a pass defended. Everybody had Kenneth Murray pegged as the guy that's going to be the one playing every single snap, including myself. But no, it's Kaiser White. Kaiser White was a guy I almost had as just a sub-package guy. And he's come in this year, and he's proven to be an excellent player. And Drew Tranquil's out for the year. Kenneth Murray's playing still a good chunk of snaps, but it's Kaiser White who's the every down guy. They've made Nick Vigil just disappear. Denzel Perriman's only playing about 40-50% of snaps. Uchenna Nwosu, probably about 30-40%. But it's Kaiser White and Kenneth Murray. They're both dominating snaps. So hats off to those guys for playing well. And now, some of those guys that are going to break your heart. Joe, I'm sure you probably have some of these, man. But stay with us, man. We're here for you. We're going to help you get through this. Don't quit on us yet. DeForest Buckner. He had 3 tackles and a pass defended. Only one of those tackles being solo. We're used to Buckner racking up 5-6 tackles, couple for a loss. But it just wasn't his game. Am I worried? No. He's still top 3 defensive tackles in the league. It's him, Aaron Donald, and Grady Jarrett to me. So don't worry about Buckner. Devin White. Devin White had 4 tackles, only one of them solo, and a fumble recovery. His running mate, Levante David, had 10 tackles. So it's still the veteran coming up with all the tackles. I mean, Devin White's been a solid producer this year, but Levante David has been the guy in Tampa still. So he's not ready to hand over that torch, and has been his whole career is one of the most solid IDP producers. So Levante David, good job. Devin White, not so hot. Am I worried? No. Devin White is a stud. If not quite yet, he's a stud in the making. He's having a great year, and he's shown improvement this year, so he'll be fine. Marcus May, he had 3 tackles, only 2 solo tackles, and 1 tackle for a loss. Is he coming back down to earth after that week 1 outburst? Maybe. But you watch the games, he's there. He's around the ball a lot. It's just he didn't make play. The linebackers actually came up with quite a few tackles this week. Avery Williamson, which for some odd reason his snap percentage dropped back down into the 50s. He had 9 tackles and like 54% of snaps. I don't know what New York's doing, but come on, get it together. Neville Hewitt, I think, had 12 tackles. So, I mean, the linebackers were coming up with tackles. So, I'm not worried too much about Marcus May. Maybe a little bit. His tackle numbers may start to go down with Williamson and Hewitt both playing well, but we'll see. Jonathan Abram also came down to earth. He only had 3 tackles, 2 solo, and 1 tackle for a loss. Same numbers as Marcus May, but I'm not worried about Abram at all. That Raiders defense is struggling. They are bottom of the barrel in almost every category, but you watch those games, and Abram is all over the place. He's everywhere. So I'm not worried about Abram after this performance. He's going to come back, and he's going to come up and put up points. J.J. Watt put up his 2nd straight stinker. He had three tackles, 2 of them solo. That's it. No tackles for a loss, no passes defended. That's the stat that I'm really worried about this year with J.J. Watt. Usually those long arms and his height, he's very active at the line, and he's just not coming up with those passes defended, and he's not coming up with his tackles for a loss. It's like his wingspan is just like disappeared from him. But I don't know, maybe he's starting to slow down later in his career. But it's kind of tough to see. I love J.J. Watt, but that's a couple straight games. I'm thinking about sitting maybe one. Carlos Dunlop, and actually the trio of pass rushers in Cincy all kind of fell flat in their face. I know Carl Lawson, I think he had 1 tackle and a half a sack. Sam Hubbard, I think he had like 4 tackles, but that was it. And Carlos Dunlap had 1 assisted tackle and a pass defended. Holy crap. I mean, after the week all 3 of these guys just put up last week, this was just kind of like a slap in the face. But I'm not worried. It's one of the better pass rushing lines in the league, and those 3 should continue to eat throughout the season, so I'm not worried. My man Alden Smith, he's been on the other side of this segment all season, but last week, week 4, he just had 2 tackles. That was it. And against the kind of struggling Browns line, it's not great, but they're not terrible. But he can. They didn't pass the ball. I mean, what Baker Mayfield had like 120, 130 passing yards. They just pounded the ball down their throat. So I'm not worried about Alden Smith, actually. I mean, he's just shown he's got that ability. And then Harrison Smith had 3 tackles, only 1 of them solo. Was it because he played poorly? No, he got ejected. It was a helmet-to-helmet hit, and he got tossed from the game. So am I worried about Harrison Smith? Not at all. One of the most active safeties in the league, and he covers all facets of the game. So am I worried? No. But those are your guys. Who are hot? Who was not? Now, for the most important segment, arguably, our injury report's pretty important, but let's hit those waivers. All right, here's the waiver report.
Waivers.
As I talked about in the Who's Hot section, we have Terrence Mitchell. So if you're playing cornerback leagues, he's a must-add. For the season, 4 games, he's got 21 tackles, 4 passes defended, and a forced fumble. He's played, I think, all but 1 snap. So he had 3 games with 100% of snaps, 1 game with 99%. So he's starting every game. He's playing almost every single snap. He's a guy that's always been a great tackling corner, so he's going to get a lot of tackles from the position. He's playing across from Denzel Ward, and Denzel Ward is a true ball hawk. So he's a guy you don't want to test too much. And last game, Mitchell had, I think, 7 tackles and 3 passes defended, or 2 passes defended and a forced fumble. So, I mean, he's been playing well this year. So he's the guy. I mean, you can even start him as a DB if you're playing leagues that don't make you start corners. So Terrence Mitchell's a guy that I would go and pick up. I mean, he's going to be cheap. He's probably going to be free. You probably don't even have to put many bucks on him. So Ryan Neal, safety for the Seahawks. He was in the midst of talking about quitting. He was so disappointed with his role and how his career was going. And then Jamal Adams got injured week 3. So he came in, filled in for Jamal Adams. He played 35% of the snaps in that week, and he came up with 4 tackles, a pass defended, and an interception. So with Adams out this week, Neal got the start. So what did he do? He played every single snap, came up with 6 tackles, 2 passes defended, and yet another interception. So he's not coming up with the plays behind the line that Jamal Adams does, but he's playing great in coverage. So I'm not 100% sure the Jamal Adams timeline, but the Seahawks, with how well they're playing and how the rest of the NFC, I mean, it's up in the air for a couple of those teams. So, I mean, the Seahawks have just been on fire. So, I don't think they rush Adams back. So, if he misses more time, Neal is a great pickup just to fill in until Adams comes back. Another guy, another safety, old man Tayshaun Gibson. He's getting it done this year. I don't know what to tell you. He's getting it done. He's got at least 6 tackles in 3 or 4 games. He's played every single snap, and he's just playing great. If you want the Darius Leonard injury, go ahead and pick up Anthony Walker or Bobby Okereke. Anthony Walker, he came up with 11 tackles in relief. Bobby Okereke has been playing 81% of snaps or more the last 3 games. So if Leonard's out, he will be the guy. Marcus Epps for the Eagles played safety. Jalen Mills was out. He played 60% of the snaps, came up with 8 tackles. So that's a name to watch, Marcus Epps. And last but not least, I talked about him earlier, Dakota Allen. He filled in for Miles Jack, played 43% of the snaps, and came up with 6 tackles and 1 tackle for a loss. And that's it for my waivers this week. So it's not a crazy week for waivers. There wasn't many huge names, but definitely guys are worth a look. So thank you for joining me this week. You can find all my written content on dynastyfootballdigest.com and idpguys.org. Make sure you follow Writer Digest and subscribe to Writer Digest and the Big 3 Network. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
This has been a collaboration between the Big 3 Network and the Writer Digest Network. Follow at Big 3 Network on Twitter to find more great audio podcasts, and subscribe to the Writer Digest Network on YouTube for tons of league-winning fantasy football video shows.